What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Houston. We have Anthony Hernandez going against Sean Strickland, and I cannot wait for this card. I'll be honest, researching, a lot of these fights and, digging through the matchups, and it's like I'm kind of more excited about this card than I was for like UFC 324 and UFC 325, which is saying a ton because those are both great cards. But I mean, some of the matchups on this card are going to produce absolute bangers, absolute violence, and I cannot wait to break it all down. Before we get into it and break it all down, if you guys can do me a huge favor, so I'm getting this video out extra early, and as some of you guys might be able to tell, I'm more motivated than ever. I'm getting my videos out nice and early on Sundays these days, and that's going to continue throughout the year. I'm absolutely working I gotta wait till a minute goes by to say a cuss word. YouTube guidelines. I'm working my ass off out here trying to get this content out, and this card's not until like 2 weeks. So getting this out nice and early, some of these lines I think we could take advantage of nice and early. And yeah, really looking forward to this card. So do me a favor, like the video. It is always much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel as well. Then leave me a comment. All three of those things go a very long way. If you want to go the extra mile and support me more, the best way to do so is to check out dfsbythenumbers.com, doing a ton of content on there as well. But I say we get into it here. We have 13 fights to talk about. Unfortunately, we did lose one of the best fights on the card. It was going to be Sung Ko versus Jacoby Smith, which was a phenomenal fight. And we'll see what happens within the next 2 weeks, but I'm assuming they're going to find a replacement for Ko. Ko had to pull out, I believe, due to a rib injury. So the first fight of the card, though, is going to be Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani going against Phil Rowe. So we got Lebosnoyani sitting at minus 250 and Phil Rowe sitting at plus 210. Again, I'm recording this extra early, so these lines are probably going to move and move a ton. But for me, it's like I think we have a real prospect on our hands here with Lebosnoyani. I mean, this guy is good everywhere. He's very slick on the mat, whether he's on top, whether he's on bottom. I've seen him get multiple submissions from bottom position. He's a very good striker. He showed that off in his Contender Series fight when he beat that dude up over the course of the fight and finished him down the stretch. He has very good kicks, very good head kicks that he's landed before, solid power in his hands, good movement, and I think he's a good minute winner and moment winner. I think that minute winning will definitely translate into the UFC, and I think that's important here in this matchup against Phil Rowe, because Phil Rowe is the worst minute winner in probably UFC history. This guy has not won a decision ever. He probably will never win a decision. And it's like Phil Rowe is the ultimate Homer Simpson. What Phil Rowe does is he goes out there, he gets his ass beat for the first 5 to 7.5 minutes, and once you slow down, that's when he can kind of take over and finish you. I mean, that's the case with every single Phil Rowe fight. In every single Phil Rowe fight, he is losing the first round and a half. In the Ange Loosa fight, he was about to lose a decision until he got a late finish in the third round, but he's losing a lot of these fights until his opponents slow down. So it's hard for me to ever back a guy like that. I mean, Phil Rowe has horrible takedown defense, sitting at 50%. We saw that in the Ko fight where Ko took him down and held him down for nearly 15 minutes of that fight. It was a horrible look. We saw Witt take him down and hold him down for a full round. We saw Kosi take him down and hold him down for a full round. So I'm worried about Phil Rowe, and all his wins have aged pretty horribly. He beat Orion Kosi, cut. He beat Jason Witt, cut. He beat Nico Price, washed. So I don't know. I feel like I absolutely have to go Lebosnoyani. The questions I have with Lebosnoyani is that chin. He has been knocked out in both of his losses, including a knockout loss to Spike Carlisle, out of all people. But in terms of skill for skill, it's not even close. It's Lebosnoyani. So I'm going to take the newcomer here, Lebosnoyani, to go out there. And I actually think it's going to be a decision. Phil Rowe, for what it's worth, he is very tough. He's only been knocked out once. He's got a good chin. I can see Lebosnoyani kind of picking him apart over the course of 15 minutes. And unlike a lot of Phil Rowe's opponents, I don't think Lebosnoyani is going to really slow down or take his foot off the gas pedal. So I'm going to say Lebosnoyani wins this fight and wins it by decision. Up next, we got Punahele Soriano going against Ramiz Brahimaj. We got Soriano minus 135. Ramiz Brahimaj is sitting at plus 115. So it's really interesting with Brahimaj here. Brahimaj, he came into the UFC and he was able to get some bums out of there, like Michael Gilmore. He was able to get guys like, Sasha Palatnikov out of there. And then after the Gilmore fight, he had like a really bad injury. I don't know if it was a neck or a back injury, but between the Gilmore fight and the Themba fight, right, he takes 2 years off, and he comes back against Themba Gorimbo, which I don't think Themba's that good, to be honest. I think he's extremely overrated. But in that Themba fight, I mean, Ramiz looked horrible. I mean, Ramiz went out there, he got held against the cage for 15 minutes. Ramiz landed 3 strikes in a 15-minute fight. It was a very, very bad look to me against Themba Gorimbo. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy Ramiz looks awful. You know, this guy might be washed. This guy might be done. But since that Themba fight, man, I mean, he's on a 3-fight winning streak, and he's looking incredible in all these fights. He went out there against Mickey Gall, I believe was a very slight dog. I think he was like plus 100, plus 110, and he gets his very first knockout win ever against Mickey Gall. Knocks him out in the first round. His striking looks better than ever. It was a good win. You know, say what you want about Mickey Gall, you know, not that great. But it was nice to see him go out there and get his first knockout. And then he goes out there against Billy Ray Goff. And he was a massive dog in that fight. You know, Billy Ray Goff was like minus 300, minus 350. And Ramiz Brahimaj submits him in the very first round. Chokes him out cold. It was a brutal submission against Billy Ray Goff as a big dog. And then he goes out there against Austin Vanderford, once again, as a dog. And he goes out there and really just beats the brakes off of Vanderford. He gets held down a little bit in the first round, but lands a big head kick in the second, and then submits Vanderford in the second round with a nice upset. So I believe he's cashed as an underdog 3 times in a row. And I'm looking at this matchup, and it's like, I kind of think it's a decent matchup for Ramiz, because with Punahele Soriano, this guy's mostly having the most success in the first round of his fights. He has a lot of power. You know, when the fight's on the feet and it's early, he can potentially knock you out. I don't know if he's knocking out Ramiz. Ramiz is next level tough. He's only been knocked out once, but if you remember, that knockout loss comes to when, you know, Max Griffin ripped off his ear. You know, it was a doctor's stoppage. He's very tough. He has a brick for a head. I'm not convinced Soriano's not going to knock him out in the first round. And if he doesn't, you know, I don't think Ramiz has the best cardio, but I kind of think he has the better cardio than Soriano. I mean, Puna was completely gassed in his last fight against Nikolai Veretennikov. It was just that, you know, Veretennikov was even more gassed than Punahele Soriano. I thought that Veretennikov fight, although he won, it was a bad look. Like, there were moments in that fight where I thought if Veretennikov was a smart guy, which he's not, you know, he could keep the fight on the feet, maybe pick apart Soriano. He also put Soriano in some very bad positions on the mat. It was just a very sloppy fight. Like, if Ramiz gets Punahele Soriano in these same positions and Soriano's tired, I could see Ramiz subbing this guy. You know, Ramiz submission game's no joke. And then I'll go back to the Dustin Stoltzfus fight with Puna. First and foremost, you know, Puna's getting outlanded 2-1 at distance by Dustin Stoltzfus in that first round. Not a great look. And then in the second round, you know, Dustin Stoltzfus is ragdolling this guy, Puna, just taking him down, and then ends up submitting Punahele Soriano in the second round. We go back to the Nick Maximov fight, where Maximov took down Soriano 11 times. So, although Soriano does have a wrestling background, his takedown defense is 40%. And I kind of feel like Ramiz is somebody that can maybe exploit that. So, yeah, I like this matchup for Ramiz here. He is an underdog, but I kind of think he's going to survive the early storm, eat some shots. I think he can mix in takedowns pretty easily here. And then once these guys both get tired, I kind of think Ramiz might be able to sub him in that second round. So I'm going to go Ramiz Brahimaj to win this fight. And I think he might cash as an underdog for the 4th time in a row. Give me Ramiz Brahimaj by second round submission. Up next, we have borderline of sanctioned murder. We got Carli Judice going against Juliana Killer Miller. We got Judice minus 400. Juliana Miller sitting at plus 330. And kind of surprised the line isn't a little bit wider, because holy crap, is this a very bad matchup for one Juliana Miller. And if you guys are going to look into this fight, I think the fight you need to look into is the Luana Santos fight. Go back and watch Luana Santos versus Juliana Miller. And Luana Santos, she has good judo. She has some decent grappling. Luana Santos is not a good striker. She's just not. And Luana Santos went out there and just destroyed Juliana Miller on the feet. I mean, everything that Santos landed, everything she threw landed. And, I mean, it kind of looked like Santos was like just randomly spamming, I don't know, random combinations. Some of these, I don't even know how to describe some of the stuff she was throwing. She was throwing punches even like this at times, and she was landing on Juliana Miller. It was very ugly to watch. I mean, Juliana Miller has a 36% striking defense. 36%. I haven't seen a worse striking defense than 36%. It doesn't get as low as that. Juliana Miller needs to get this fight down to the ground, and I think that's going to be much easier said than done against Carli Judice, who's very physically strong for the division. She has good takedown defense. She has underrated grappling. We haven't seen that grappling yet from Judice, but she has underrated grappling, something she's been working on. And then the striking is just night and day between these two. You know, Carli Judice, phenomenal combinations, phenomenal volume. She's landing over 10 significant strikes per minute. And if you're getting pieced up by Luana Santos, you know, I think Carli Judice is going to go out there and destroy Juliana Miller. I think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be ugly. I think it could be like a mercy stoppage. Like, this girl's taken too much damage. You know, that's enough. We're going to stop the fight because she just ate 100 punches to the face. So, yeah, give me Carli Judice. I think she knocks out Juliana Miller. Could see a head kick. She has a nice head kick. Could see a knee. She has nice knees. Could be a flurry of punch and anything. I think Carli Judice is knocking out Juliana Miller, though, in Houston. I'll go first round knockout. Next up, we have an absolute banger, and you know the bout order is potentially going to change, but as of now, this is on the prelims. This is not a prelim fight. I mean, this is a this is a really good fight. This is a fight. If you're a fan of violence, you're going to be a fan of this fight. It's pure violence. I think it's one of the most violent fights on the entire card, and I think the matchmakers did a good job here. So how I see this fight playing out, I think these guys are going to stand and bang until one man falls. And the thing with Chidi, and I've said it time and time again, Chidi Njokuani is a phenomenal hammer and probably the worst nail in the UFC. You know, one of the worst nails in the UFC. Chidi's been finished 9 times, 5 by knockout, 4 by submission. And the thing I notice with Chidi, and I say it all the time, if there's any adversity whatsoever, if he gets put in a bad spot, if he gets hurt, I mean, the fight's over shortly after. Chidi just has not been able to battle through any adversity his entire career. He's quit in multiple fights in and outside the UFC. And I gotta go Carlos Leal in this type of fight, in a fight where I think there's going to be some adversity on both sides. I think both guys are going to land big shots. I just trust Carlos Leal to take it a lot better than Chidi Njokuani. And yeah, Carlos Leal's coming off of a knockout loss in the first round of his last fight. And, you know, it was a bad look. Don't get me wrong. It was a very bad look to go out there and get knocked out by 60-year-old Muslim Salikhov. But at the same time, that was the first time I've ever seen Carlos Leal even hurt. That was the first time I've ever seen him knocked out. This guy has almost 30 fights, only been knocked out once, whereas with Chidi, he has like 36 fights. He's been knocked out like 5 times. So, yeah, I think Carlos Leal is just a lot more tougher. I trust Carlos Leal in terms of the durability department. And I think Carlos Leal is going to come out here and make it a war. And yeah, maybe Chidi can land something big early like Salikhov did. But I think the more likely scenario is Carlos Leal breaking Chidi, and probably early as well. I like Carlos Leal to win this fight. I think he's going to break Chidi late in the first round. Give me Carlos Leal by first round knockout. Next up, we got Yadier Delija going against Jordan Leavitt. We got Delija sitting at minus 340. Jordan Leavitt sitting as a plus 280 underdog. And we're going to find out. You know, we're going to find out whether or not the Bulgarian fight was actually fixed. Because if it turns out the Bulgarian fight wasn't fixed, which I have my opinions on it, if it turns out the Bulgarian fight wasn't fixed and that was a real fight, and Bulgarian tried his hardest, and Delija ran right through him. If that wasn't a fixed fight, I mean, Yadier Delija should be minus 1,000 here. I mean, Yadier Delija, if that was not a fixed fight, is going to run through Jordan Leavitt like a hot knife through butter. Delija looked career best in his last fight against Bulgarian, but of course there is a big asterisk next to that with all the big scandal going on. But either way, whether it was a fixed fight or not a fixed fight, it doesn't change the fact that Yadier Delija is a very good fighter. He's a very good prospect. He has a lot of power on the feet, good volume on the feet. He can mix in the takedowns. He has really good grappling. And what I noticed with Jordan Leavitt is he has good grappling in his own right, but whenever he goes against a grappler that's just better than him, He not only loses, he gets submitted. We know Chase Hooper submitted him in 2.5 minutes. We saw Paddy Pimblett submit him in the second round, and even Trey Ogden, of all people, put Jordan Leavitt in some bad spots on the mat. So yeah, I think Delija is more than deserving of being this big of a favorite. I don't like this matchup for Jordan Leavitt. Jordan Leavitt can't stuff a takedown. He has a 30% takedown defense. And then on the feet, it's really one-way traffic. Delija just has a lot more volume, has a lot more power. I think he has the better wrestling. I think he probably has the better grappling, to be honest. I think he's just better everywhere than Jordan Leavitt. I think it's a brutal matchup here for Jordan Leavitt, and I think Delija is going to take him down and probably finish him. So I'm going to go Yadier Delija to win this fight. I'll say first round submission. But if he doesn't finish Jordan Leavitt, then I know for a fact that the Bulgarian fight was indeed fixed. Because if you're running through Isaac Bulgarian, you should be destroying Jordan Leavitt. Give me Yadier Delija by first round sub. Up next, we have Joselyne Edwards going against Nora Cornolle. We got Joselyne Edwards minus 255. Nora Cornolle is sitting at plus 215. And Joselyne Edwards has been looking good as of late. She's been looking phenomenal as of late. She has 3 wins in a row, all by finish. She submitted Tamara's Vidal in the third round. She knocked out Chelsea Chandler in the first round, and she knocked out Priscilla Cachoeira, the zombie girl, in the first round as well. Joselyne Edwards is next level when it comes to the striking these days, when it comes to the grappling these days. She's been training with Valentina Shevchenko these last several years, and I think that might have something to do with it. Hanging around Valentina, you're going to learn a thing or two, and I think she has. She now has power in her hands. She's going out there, she's taking these ladies down and dominating them on the mat. And this is actually a rematch. This is actually a rematch here. And if you go back and watch the first fight, I thought Joselyne Edwards won that fight pretty handedly. Nobody really made a big fuss about it because I believe that was like one of the first fights on the card. Nobody's really betting on that fight. And I mean, yeah, Joselyne Edwards won that fight. It was in France, so I think they gave it to the hometown fighter, hometown cooking in Nora Cornolle. But Joselyne Edwards, I'm pretty certain, won that fight. And I'm pretty certain it wasn't a hard fight to call. And in that fight, Joselyne Edwards went out there and took down Nora Cornolle 8 times. She controlled her, almost submitted her in I believe it was the third round. Almost submitted her in the third round. And it's since that fight, and don't get me wrong, it's only been 3 years, but a lot can change in 3 years. And I think Joselyne Edwards has leveled up massively in these last 3 years. So yeah, I think the fight's going to play out kind of similar here in terms of the game plan for Edwards. I think Edwards is going to go out there, take down Nora Cornolle, and I think she's going to destroy her. I think she's going to destroy her on the ground. I went back and watched the Nora Cornolle versus Karol Rosa fight. I mean, Nora Cornolle made Karol Rosa look like Khamzat Chimaev out there. And it kind of looked like Karol Rosa bet on her own decision prop because I don't know how she didn't finish Cornolle. She had her in multiple deep submissions. She almost TKO'd her at multiple points in that fight. I'm surprised the judges only gave her one 10-8 round. There could have been 2 10-8 rounds. I mean, she made Karol Rosa look like Khamzat out there. And I just think Joselyne Edwards, at this point of her career, she's looking pretty dang good. I think she's going to take down Nora Cornolle. I think she's going to beat her up, and I think she's going to sub her as this fight goes on. Give me Joselyne Edwards to go out there, and I'll say she submits Nora Cornolle in the second round. I think she gets her revenge, and I think it'd be wise to not leave it to the judges this time. Joselyne, go out there and finish this chick, and I think she can. So give me Joselyne Edwards to continue her finish streak, getting a second-round submission against Nora Cornolle. Up next, we have a fun fight here. We got Alden Coria going against Luis Gurule. We got Coria sitting at minus 220, Gurule sitting at plus 185, and Coria is a guy that's training with Joshua Van and Michael Aswell and those guys, and you can tell when you watch this guy fight. He brings that same volume, that same pace, but that debut he had against Alessandro Costa was a phenomenal debut. He looked good everywhere. He was able to actually mix in some takedowns of his own on the feet. He showed some high volume, looked really good offensively, defensively when striking. And I went back and watched a lot of Coria fights outside of the UFC. And what I noticed was he does wrestle a lot. He does grapple a lot. He has a lot of submissions. I saw him land a nice knee, get a knockout. He has power in his hands for the division. He's good everywhere. This guy, Coria, is very good everywhere. I think this guy's the real deal. He's only 27 years old. I think this guy can make some noise in the division for sure. And he's going against Luis Gurule, who I'm completely out on Gurule. I'm completely out on this guy, and here's why. He made his debut against Ode Osbourne, and he gets knocked out. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Ode Osbourne, he has power. He can catch you. He can knock you out. Getting knocked out by Ode, it's not the end of the world. What is the end of the world, though? What is the end of the world is going out there and losing a 15-minute striking fight to Jesus Aguilar. How does that happen? How does it happen, Luis Gurule? Jesus Aguilar has a 62-inch reach. You won't find a shorter reach in any men's division than 62 inches. You'll find actually most women will have a bigger reach than 62 inches. And this guy, Gurule, goes out there and loses striking exchanges to a guillotine merchant in Jesus Aguilar. When Aguilar is winning fights, he's winning it by guillotine. He's winning it with the grappling. And he went out there and lost a striking fight to Jesus Aguilar. Aguilar hurt him badly in the first round. Aguilar hurt him badly multiple times in the third round, and that's the big thing here with Gurule. I think he has the skills. I think he is a solid striker. I think he is a solid anti-grappler, but he has no chin. It's not only the Ode fight where he got knocked out. It's not only the Jesus Aguilar fight where he got hurt multiple times. It's in every fight. Go and watch every single fight of Gurule. He's getting hurt, dropped, and wobbled in pretty much every single fight. I think this guy has one of the worst chins in the UFC, which is saying a ton because we got like Matt Schnell is in the division. But I think Gurule's chin just very bad. Very bad. And we've seen it so many times. So, yeah, I expect this fight to take place on the feet mostly just because Coria, although he can wrestle, he can grapple, Gurule does have good takedown defense. I'll give him that. But when this fight's on the feet, I think Coria's just going to land something big here and probably knock out Gurule. I just don't think Gurule can take a shot. So I like Coria here quite a bit. If you're losing striking exchanges to Jesus Aguilar, who has a 62-inch reach and is a guillotine merchant, I think Alden Coria can go out there and beat you up over the course of the fight and finish you. Coria has a 67-inch reach. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, and this guy's pretty dang good. So, yeah, I like Coria here quite a bit, and I think Coria's probably going to knock this guy out. I'll say second-round knockout for Alden Coria. Up next, we got Alibi Adiris going against Ode Osbourne. We got Adiris minus 170. Ode Osbourne sitting at plus 145. And I was actually at the Adiris fight. It was in Chicago against Joseph Morales, and that was a good fight, but he was a big favorite in that Morales fight. He was a pretty big favorite against Joseph Morales, and he went out there and lost that fight. He got out-grappled. He got submitted in the second round with a triangle choke. So went and watched that fight back, went and watched, I wanted to go back and watch his tough fights, but they wouldn't let me watch them for some reason. They weren't available, but I went back and watched his fights prior to that. And after watching a lot of this guy's fights, I kind of see why, people were so high on him, making his Ultimate Fighter finale in Chicago. He's like a minus 300 favorite. I kind of see why people were high on him. This guy's pretty good. I really like the striking, very flashy striker, good pressure, good volume, really nice spinning attacks as well. And then he can also mix in the grappling here or there. I would have liked to see him mix in more grappling, more wrestling. He does occasionally, but especially in this matchup, I would like to see him go to that a little bit more. But yeah, I think Ode is going to be live here in the first round and a half. That's always the thing with Ode Osbourne. He's very dangerous, but he's very dangerous for about a round and a half, and then he slows down in a lot of these fights. You look through the record of Ode Osbourne, he has a ton of first-round finishes. When he's winning fights, he's winning them in the first round, outside of the Gurule fight where he won it in the second round. But I think if he's going to win this fight, he's going to have to catch Alibi early, and I think that's going to be easier said than done. Yeah, I like the cardio of Adiris. I like the ability to mix in takedowns, and although Adiris is not a submission threat per se, it wouldn't shock me if he actually got a submission here against Ode Osbourne. Osbourne, I think his submission defense is pretty suspect. He can get put in bad spots. He's been submitted 4 times. He can tire out. He can gas out. So yeah, I like Adiris here. I think he's going to put a pace on Ode. I think he can hurt him on the feet. We've seen Ode knocked out. We've seen him hurt. I think he can mix in the takedowns. I think he could potentially sub him. But I like Adiris to win this fight and win it late. So give me Adiris to win this fight. I'll say second round knockout for Alibi Adiris. Next up, we have Mel Costa going against Dan Ige. Phenomenal fight here. This is a good one. We got Mel Costa minus 185 and Dan Ige plus 160. To be honest, I kind of thought this line would be wider just because a lot of people are very high on Mel Costa, including myself now, to be honest. But yeah, people really like this guy, Mel Costa. He's on fire. He's on fire. And we talk about fighters of the year in the year of 2025. I think you can make an interesting case for Costa to be up there with some of these guys in terms of potential fighter of the year. He went out there in 2025. He had 4 fights. He went 4-0. He got 2 finishes, and in all 4 of those fights, they were fun fights. Went out there and submitted Andre Fili in the first round. Great performance there. Went out there and put on a very fun and exciting fight against Christian Rodriguez. He hurt Rodriguez very badly in the second round of that fight. Fun performance there. Went out there against Juliana Rosa in a very fun fight. Beat Julian Rosa. He was a veteran. And then he goes out there and knocks out Morgan Charrier, which is a huge deal because Charrier had never been knocked out up until that point, and he lands a perfect head kick in the first minute of the fight and knocks out Morgan Charrier. I think Mel Costa is looking dang good right now. I think he's, coming into his prime. This guy's only like 29 years old. I think he's looking very good as of late. I do have some concerns with Mel Costa, the cardio, maybe the grappling, but here I'm not so sure that's going to be a problem against Dan Ige, who just doesn't willingly look to grapple. I think this fight's going to play out on the feet. And when it does, I got to favor Mel Costa in terms of just being the better minute winner. Mel Costa is going to throw more. He has more tools on the feet. Dan Ige has that solid boxing, but Mel Costa has, a lot of kicks. And I just did not like how Dan Ige looked in his last fight against Pitbull. You should be going out there and you should be beating a 40-year-old Pitbull, you would think. I don't know if he was, starstruck or what, but that was a horrible performance from Dan Ige. Like, he went out there and just did nothing against Pitbull, which is a concern because Pitbull did nothing. It's just Dan Ige just didn't show up that night, which is that's never something you expect from Dan Ige. So yeah, Dan Ige, of course, is always live for a knockout, I suppose, just because he has a lot of power, and we've seen Costa knocked out before, but if he's not knocking out Costa, I'm almost certain he's going to lose the decision here. Dan Ige, 10 losses, all 10 of them come by decision. Not the best minute winner. I kind of think if he's winning this fight, he's knocking out Costa. I'm just not sure that's all that likely. So I like Costa here. I kind of think it's just a Costa decision. Just picking apart Dan Ige, who is hittable, landing a lot of kicks, landing a lot of volume, and winning this fight on the scorecard. So I'm going to go Mel Costa to win this fight. I'm going to take Mel Costa and win this fight by decision. And yeah, this line has moved a lot, actually. Mel Costa opened up minus 120. He's currently minus 185. So, yeah, money has came in on Mel Costa, which I did expect. People are very high on this guy. So, yeah, Mel Costa by decision for me. Up next, we got Ante Delija versus a vampire and Serghei Spivak. We got Delija minus 190. We got Serghei Spivak sitting at plus 165. And, yeah, I kind of feel like Spivak's due. Spivak is due to get knocked out, man. And I think this is the matchup for it. Ante Delija, this guy's good. He did get knocked out in his last fight against Waldo Cortez Acosta, but that was that weird situation where, he thought he knocked out Waldo, ended up being an eye poke. The fight should have been a no contest, and Waldo knocked him out in the first round. It was kind of weird situation there, but Delia's good. He's good everywhere. He has grappling in his back pocket, wrestling in his back pocket, which I think is going to be key here. Because if he's able to stuff takedowns here against Serghei Spivak, he's going to destroy him. And I'm looking through the record of Spivak, and it's like these wins have aged horribly. We got that win against Tai Tuivasa back in the day. Tuivasa's lost like 50 fights in a row. He beat Carlos Felipe, cut. Jared Van Derek, cut. Alexei Oleinik was like 50 at the time. He barely squeaked by Oleinik. He beat Greg Hardy, cut. Sakai, cut. He beat Derek Lewis, who I think is on his way out. These wins have aged horribly. I guess the best win was probably Marcin Tybura, but He got that, it was like a fluke armbar from guard, something you'll never see probably ever happen again in the heavyweight division. So I don't know about Spivak. In some of these fights, he looks incredible. In some of these fights, he looks really bad, but at the same time, I'm looking through his record, and it's like, yeah, of course he's going to look incredible against Augusto Sakai, against Greg Hardy. Delija has much better grappling than all these guys. And if Delia's able to stuff these takedowns, which Delija was able to stuff all the takedowns in the Tybura fight, and look what happened. He put it on Tybura, and he finished him early on in that fight. So, yeah, I kind of think Delia's going to stuff the takedowns here. And the thing about Serghei Spivak is he's a good hammer, he's a bad nail. If he doesn't get his game going and going very early, he's going to look off. He's going to look awful first and foremost, and he's going to get finished. So I got to go Delija here. I think Delija wins this fight by first round knockout. I mean, this guy, Serghei Spivak, got knocked out by Jailton Almeida. How does that happen? How do you get knocked out by Jailton Almeida? It shouldn't happen. On the feet, you get TKO'd by Jailton Almeida, okay. But Jailton rocked this guy on the feet. Rocked him badly on the feet. Not good. Not good. Give me Ante Delija here. Give me Ante Delija by first round knockout. Up next, we got Michel Pereira going against Zach Reese. And like I said, the bout order is scheduled to change, potentially, because this is not a main card fight. I mean, this should be a fight not even in the UFC. I mean, both these guys, I don't know about both these guys. Michel Pereira looks to be done. Michel Pereira looks to be absolutely done. And it's a shame with Michel Pereira because this guy was on a 3-fight winning. He was on like an 8-fight winning streak. Holy crap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. An 8-fight winning streak. He came up to middleweight and won 3 fights in a row at middleweight. And in those 3 fights at middleweight, first round knockout in a minute against Andre Petroski. First round submission in a minute against Mikhail Olazechuk. First round submission in a minute against Ihor Peteria. 3 fights, 3 first round finishes, all in a minute. And then he takes on Fluffy. And it doesn't end well. I mean, I kind of feel like Fluffy took his soul. This guy looks like a soulless fighter. Because he came out there against Abus Magomedov. First of all, he had a horrible dance routine. It was one of the worst dance routines I've ever seen in my entire life. He goes out there and half-asses his dance routine, and then he half-asses the fight. And the performance was so bad against Abus that I was calling the fight fixed. I was saying, holy crap, Michel Pereira just threw this fight. Michel Pereira must have bet on his opponent. That's how bad that performance was. And then he goes out there, and he gets knocked out in 40 seconds by the Darce Knight, Kyle Daukaus. Who is Kyle Daukaus knocking out? And he sparks Michel Pereira? I'm very worried about Michel Pereira. This guy has almost 50 fights. He's taken a lot of damage, including the Fluffy fight. In the Fluffy fight, he took years worth of damage. But if you're getting knocked out by the Darce Knight, something's seriously wrong. Are you throwing these fights, Michel? Are you betting on your opponent, or are you washed? Because it's one of the two. It's one of the two, Michel. And the question here is, is Michel Pereira so washed that Zachary Reese could actually beat him? And that's the big question. I don't know. This is borderline 1-800 gambler. I don't want to lay a minus number on Michel Pereira ever again. And I also don't want to ever bet on Zach Reese. But at the same time, I feel like at this moment in 2026, I feel like I have more faith in Zachary Reese to go out there and win a fight, which is insane thing to say, but it's true. Michel Pereira has looked that bad. Give me Zach Reese here. It's dirty, it's greasy, and I kind of thought Zach Reese would be the favorite just because Michel's looked that bad, but Zach Reese is the underdog. So, disgusting fight. I hope they take this fight off the main card. I hope this fight gets canceled, actually, because it's disgusting to be that bad. But in terms of a pick, because I have to make a pick, I'll take Zach Reese to knock out Michel Pereira in the first round. If you're getting knocked out by the Darce Knight, Kyle Daukaus, Zach Reese should be able to put you out as well. So one of these guys has to win. Maybe it's a no contest. I don't know, but give me Zach Reese to get the job done and get the job done by first round knockout. Up next, we got Jeff Neal going against Uros Medic, and I think the matchmakers did a phenomenal job here. Phenomenal fight, violent fight. Jeff Neal minus 185, your Uros Medic plus 160. So the thing about these two guys, and it's kind of like the Carlos Leal Chidi fight, where both guys can give it, and boy, can both of these guys give it. But, you know, one of these guys can't really take it, and that's Medic for me. Medic I think his durability is a serious question mark. You know, he got dropped by Semelsberger, not the end of the world. He got hurt multiple times against Jalen Turner, not the end of the world. He got knocked out by Puna in the first round. It's not the end of the world, but he gets dropped by Gilbert Urbina. Oh, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. I mean, I think the chin of Medic is very suspect, and that's, you know, not a good thing to have, a suspect chin when you're taking on Jeff Hands of Steel Neal, who hits like a truck. So, yeah, Jeff Neal also did get knocked out. Recently got knocked out in his last fight with the spinning back elbow, but I mean that would knock out 95% of the division, if not more. I think Jeff Neal is going to hit Medic very hard, and I'm just not sure Medic is going to be able to take it. I got to go Jeff Neal here to win, and I'm going to take Jeff Neal to win this fight by first round knockout. I think somebody's getting served here, and getting served quite brutally. They might need to bring in the stretcher for one of these guys, and I think they might need to bring in the stretcher for Uros Medic. Give me Jeff Neal to win this fight by first round knockout. Now is a great time to sign up on DFSbythenumbers.com. As I always say, it is absolutely the best way to support me. Check it out. You get access to my UFC stats, write-ups for all bets, best bet article, and confidence ratings where I break down the entire card, get my pick, method, round, confidence rating, best bet, and then also some long shot props as well. First notice on all bets, access to Discord and betting alerts, and then also early access to the betting breakdown video, which drops on Friday for members and then Saturday morning for non-members. Check me out. Helps me out a ton. And yeah, come join the Discord. All right. Main event time. We got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez going against Sean Strickland. We got Fluffy minus 250. Sean Strickland sitting at plus 210. And yeah, we're going to hear this all week. You know, we're going to hear this for the next 2 weeks because I'm recording this extra early. You know, Sean Strickland got into a motorcycle accident and he doesn't want to grapple anymore. And it kind of looks that way because he has not grappled in a very long time. He has not wrestled in a very long time, including against fighters where it's like, man, you probably should go out there and take down, Jack Marshman. You probably should go out there and take that guy down who's a white belt. But he didn't. And this is like back in 2020. So we haven't seen Sean Strickland go to the wrestling in a very long time. And that's kind of a concern because, I mean, he's had so many 5-round, I think 7 5-round fights in a row for Sean Strickland. And I think like 5 or 6 of them went the full 25 minutes, and he's landed only 2 takedowns in hours and hours of cage time. And nobody's really tried to take him down outside of Dricus, and Dricus did take him down 6 times. Dricus wasn't able to hold him down, but the fact that Dricus was able to get him down 6 times, that is kind of a concern for me in this matchup, because Fluffy can go out there, he can take you down, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, and so on and so forth. I mean, Fluffy, I truly think Fluffy can go out there against Strickland here, and I think it can put up 15 plus takedowns, which is crazy to say, but it's Fluffy. This guy is built for 5 rounds. This guy can take you down. If you get back up, he's going to take you back down. If you get back up, he's going to take you back down. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And I think he's going to keep doing that and doing that more and more. And my hot take for this fight is I think for the first time ever, I think we're going to see Sean Strickland exhausted. I think we're going to see him very tired. I'm not sure if Fluffy's going to be able to finish Sean Strickland, who is very tough. He is very hard to get out of there. He's very hard to submit. But I do think Fluffy's going to put it on him over the course of 25 minutes. He's going to make this a very frustrating fight for Sean Strickland. I like Fluffy here to win this fight. I'll say it's by decision. A late finish wouldn't surprise me, but I'll say it's by decision. And I think he is going to get like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe even 15 takedowns here. So give me Anthony Hernandez and Hernandez by decision. There you guys have it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys could do me a favor, please like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Be on the lookout for more content. We have a week off, unfortunately, but I might go live sometime during the off week. Might get out some short form content during the off week as well. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, guys, best of luck for UFC Houston. I think this card's very good. Really looking forward to this card. Best of luck. We'll talk to you soon. See you later.